the 5D collective, we are getting to have a lot of nice ascension energies with the lunar eclipse and the upcoming solar eclipse. So, being yourself. It is easy for those of us who have a relationship with our divine feminine, the body. So I'm attachment and trauma informed, besides being a 5D mystic in the Enlightenment Soul Age group. And here's where divine masculine, lovely mind. Now remember, the mind is not the brain. Thank you, Daniel Siegel, for that. The brain is the organ, the mind, well, we're not going to get into the explanation on here because I'm just going to chit chat. And I like to bring spirituality and human elements. They're all subject matters. The 5D collective is a group of people who are independent thinkers. I use the word Mahasamadhi Samadhi. It means you have integration of the brain capacity. So there's no impaired bilateral integration. So it means that when stuff comes up from your body, and I usually can also say, shit, but it's not shit. But if you don't have a window of welcome for your emotional depth, yes, you won't have the actual access to your divine feminine. And the jaguar and the freedom is yours of this lovely horse spirit. They have a meaning, as our energies are about. So that's one. If you don't have a window of welcome for you, you will not be yourself, your whole self, your whole three-year-old heart, which I instead am. It's called a differentiated self. And I can have a bunch of different ways I explain and share the stories. Let's move, though, for a minute to the divine masculine. And that's your mind. So mind is only helpful if you can do the thing called inner growth. Instead, if you have a shame cycle, which is the inner critic and the outer critic, and then you do the fucking, the drinking, the drugging, the fooding, whatever self-soothing mechanism, because there's many different ones. It can become shopaholicism, workaholicism, so that is where a person who is extremely in dysregulation, maybe if they hit rock bottom, they'll figure it out. But there's a lot that just, because movies like Hangover make it seem cool to do all the things I just mentioned, and people don't actually look into any of the updated attachment or trauma information in depth. So they hear about compassion and goodness and kindness, and they don't really know why the good mental health professionals are talking about it. The bad ones are not. They, in fact, are trying to bring in, illusion of goodness or stereotypes, gender stereotypes, yeah. Also consistently with that. And anyway, so they're not using their mind with inner growth or exploration of the infinite higher human consciousness potential experience, because they haven't done the in-depth exploration of what an embodied brain is. And so they might have words that they use. They don't know what they are talking about. Like, I know I don't have enough of the information on the biology aspect to explain why a person with dissociative identity disorder can have alters that have one, an allergic reaction to something, and another, no. But I know that I learned from people who know how to explain it. So if somebody questions it, I say, I don't know that, but I do know where I can send you. But I also know you would have to go to their conferences and start taking courses and, really get in depth on learning what it is to be a human. And then you'd be able to know. But you just dismissing it as untrue or being skeptical, well, that's normal. It's like with Reiki. There's people who don't believe in Reiki. And I'm like, yeah, it's okay. You don't have to believe in it. You really just haven't experienced it. I'm a Reiki master, so it's normal that you don't know. And, the whole theologians are trying to also make it seem like Reiki is a bad energy. It's like, okay, you obviously don't know about, energy. So anyways, this is why the mind is really, really full of fire. For some people, they don't know how they use it. I do. I have what is called implicit bias. So do you. I have cultural bias. I have Maria bias. I'm a whole three-year-old heart, so I got a bunch of ideas. I use words however I want. And when people do like to be in friendships, that's why we get to figure out how we speak. So anyways, let's get back to our topic, shall we? The mind. And as I was saying, if you have the inner growth mindset, then you're going to expand. If you have an inner critic and then an outer critic, you're going to be like Cusco's in Cusco land of the Emperor's New Groove and squirrels. And like I see a lot of those people online with the, I don't know about Reiki, or I don't know about this, or yoga brings demons out of you, because they're using ancient scripture to actually explore things, which again, we have a lot of ancient scripture, but we have a lot of updated information on the embodied brain. So let's talk about that. And being yourself. when I began inspiring human potential content with the inner growth mindset, I began with knowing what I was saying. It's you can be you, with the basic of psychology, sociology, and existentialism. And now I know how to explain to you why some people think you shouldn't be yourself. Because again, they don't know about the embodied brain. So they don't know about you being a 0-1-year-old, attached, panicky, 3 to 7, shame submissive, freeze of all ages, flight 11, 12, and fight 14, 15, 16. We all have these basic charge states I learned in my trauma basic courses. I support people on personal development. Your whole self is whole if you have secure attachment. Thanks, Mom. I have secure attachment. I also have a differentiated self, which at the age of 3, thanks Daniel Siegel, I got to ask him a question, and he informed me, wow, you're already a differentiated self, because I said, hey, Mom, you can't spank me. It's my body. And she spanked me, and once she was done, whatever bad thing I did, I went to make my suitcase. She disobeyed the command of me. And of course, I still actually live with Mom, and we still talk about how I have no shame. And when she says I should have spanked you more, I'm like, yeah, well, too late. I'm 44 now. You can't spank me. So there's that. When you're a free spirit, thanks, Mom, it's because you got what is a child-centric environment. So my mother allowed me to be lovingly accepted. Yes, I didn't have to work for love, and I had all the basic emotions, even anger. In fact, so much so that I started to work on my tone at the age of like 16-ish, because I have a tone with my mother. Yes, my 3-year-old tone and my twin. Because our icicles, those charges I mentioned, they stay alive, so they consistently come forth from you, which is why people think yoga brings demons out of you. They don't know about Peter Levine and trauma memory. It gets stored in your bones, muscles, and tissues, and there's academics that don't believe in Peter Levine, and all of the colleagues that do research, Bessel van der Kolk, Daniel Siegel, Stephen Porges. So, belief, really good way to use words. I'm an educator, even though I do it my own way, which is why I'm woo-woo pseudoscience lady. But I definitely am not a flat earther. And anybody who wants to keep bringing ancient biblical texts and using, by definition, demonic spirit is, I'm going to be like, you really need to hear about Patrick McNamara and his neuroscience research, and how there is no demonic spirit that possesses somebody when they actually are having nightmare after nightmare after nightmare after nightmare, and their fear receptors wonky. And I'm a mystic because I have downloads, I have dreams, I have all of that which the Clairland enjoys, which I'm sure the neuroscience community can explain a lot of, but that doesn't take away from what is not magic. For the collective thinks of our clairs as magic. It's a relationship with the sphere of Akash, is the word I can use without getting into too many. So consciousness, which again, the lovely academics call the hard problem of consciousness, a divine feminine, we giggle because it's not a problem, but we get it. Because you know what the masculines do when they don't have their divine feminines? Yeah, that's the part. But I'm a feminine with my own masculine, so I know how to use my mind, but it's also because I'm a whole 3-year-old heart. I'm being myself right now. Is very easy. So it's called healthy self-worth. It's called being a functional adult. And it's also called organically actually being able to work through any trauma charges. We all have trauma charges, but that's different, those charge states, with a whole self, secure attachment, than somebody who does not have it. Patrick Tiahan, thank you so much. I'm going to use that lovely meme. So he's on YouTube, and he shares one of his biggest regrets from his childhood, and he is a childhood trauma survivor. He's healed. I always say healing, and he is a therapist, a good one of the good ones. Go follow him on YouTube. His biggest regret, one of them, from his childhood is that it made him unkind. When I look at my childhood and the lovingly accepted, not working for love, basic emotions, Gabor Mate, go check him out. As he explains, that's what an infant needs in order to be able to live happily and then become a person that has no suppression and a lot of things that we have going on in the world. So, long story short, I look at my childhood. Patrick became unkind. I stayed kind, which, we can't prove that, but I stayed an open-hearted 3-year-old heart, which is why we have Pacha relationships. So, our divine feminine, our body, speaks through our mind with the inner growth mindset, because we have integration of the brain. We say, I want to do personal development because I get to handle my emotional stuff instead of throwing it at people like Cusco squirrels and 4D, 3D collective. So the 5D, we're really not needing to reclaim our power because we got fire from the spirit of a 3-year-old. It's Krishna Lila, exploring the depths of seriousness with playfulness. It's really fun, and we have really great relationships. So come on over and ask your questions, all of them. FAQs, anything. Tune in for more.